Hey.
Unfortunately, have you for is very quick. It's only gonna be like 5 minutes.
Okay.
2 minutes, 4 minutes.
That's great. That's great.
What do you need me to do?
You know what would be helpful is we are planning not to read the whole resolution because it's so long. And people got copies of it, online. If Kathleen, when she introduces the motion, she is going to say, if there's anyone, we're going to say we don't want to read it. And then we're going to say, we do have some copies. If any, please raise your hand. Thank you. And will you be the keeper of the copies?
I will be the keeper of the copy.
Yay, thank you.
I'll be back in just a moment.
If that's okay.
So do you know most of the people in the congregation? Me? No. Just be sure, like when somebody makes a motion or seconds it, to say their name in case I don't know it.
She's going to make the motion, and then I'm going to ask for.
Oh, there's only one on the agenda. I'm going to
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Well, it's not like a regular meeting where I.
But if you don't catch the names and prompt, and I'll ask, please state your name. Yeah.
She's asked me to be process officer. We're sort of we're kind of inventing.
Well, the UUA does it. Has started doing it at its General Assembly.
Right.
And I checked with Paul, our parliamentarian, and he said that's acceptable, even though it's not formally in our rules. And we did it for the 8th principle.
Right.
Yes.
And it just means kind of keeping things on track
Yes.
if it gets off track.
Yes.
All right. So,
Yes.
but okay. I probably
It'll be
won't
fine.
say or do anything. You're all going to behave, right? Yeah.
And if they want to, I might prompt you to step in. Okay.
I head up the trust fund around this. And I can't take it on because I'm doing other things. But I sent it out to my board. And I asked for somebody to step up. No one has yet. So I think it would be wonderful if somebody could. Oh, absolutely. Because it's one of the possible uses of it is mentioned long-term stuff for the church. Right, and that's what the trust fund is. That's exactly. So I'm hoping I get somebody. If not, I may have to volunteer. So for my board.
The initial thing in my mind is looking at the advisory committee, talking about what our mission is, talk about the different activities and choose one to present. And from there, we form committees for the activity.
Right.
So it's not like we're
Right. But the advisory committee is to determine initial use. Is the money here already? Has it evolved? We're gonna have to come up with some. And then it's back.
You're welcome to either sit in the front row or sit up here. Yes, because I'm going to talk about the strategic governance first, then the final cost for the regulations, and at the end of that, that's all.
Okay, and are they going to play closer?
I'll say,
Before we play
for video, we're going to give the latest update. Okay. Excellent, excellent.
I thought it was so That's fine. That's fine. Is this yours as well? Oh, sorry. It doesn't matter.
front row up here. But I will ask you to stand up and take a bow.
It's hard to look at on my phone. It should be about 2 minutes. But if there are comments, I can tell. Discussion must. Well, yes.
Right, right.
Process observed.
I do that because I'm not too good at that if it's not like I'm not doing it myself and if I'm not familiar with the cover.
Oh my gosh, we have a form.
That's fine. Right, so there's so few slides, I think, I appreciate it.
Always going to but years. During the discussion. Right.
Oh, yeah, but it's in, like, in 2 minutes asking them to back this way and you see the 5.
This is top I think so. I don't think it was.
Parliamentarian.
No, I'm not. I thought it was because since it's here, she asked me to put some. It's just awesome. It's just a right. It's just a Nobody's using this. Nobody's using this.
Are we recording?
Yes, and it's being streamed. So the same process we use for the service is being done. And the people who are participating online, Mike is checking them in. If he'll be monitoring any comments they have. Yeah. Don't like this big. That's a good thing to step back and trip over.
I almost tripped on
I know.
one time.
Huh.
Gary has been trying to be mindful.
Confirmed.
Signed in.
Excellent. And then will you help me a counter?
How are you doing, sir?
Are you?
That's all I know.
Exactly. Exactly.
But we need to double check in terms of how many people we actually have holding up pink slips. So would you two be the counters? Maybe one of you doing center, that side, the other do once at 12:15. I'm going to say, okay, hold up your slips so we can establish the quorum.
Okay, sounds good.
Keep holding them up. Yeah. And all we need is 65 people. Oh, I know. So don't be worried if it's might be a little off. So
Hey. Let's get in, get out.
that's right. Okay, we're officially going to get started at 12:15. Everyone, if you could go, please go ahead and have a seat. Get settled in. Make sure you have your pink slip ready to pull up, because in a few minutes we're going to ask you to hold it up to do the official quorum count. And I'll check one more time. Is Danielle Riley in the sanctuary? Okay. I'm a little bit joked out. So I swear we'll start in less than 2 minutes. But officially, that's the login time for the people who are participating online, which is being monitored. Because y'all have done so well. Usually we're still trying to get people to come in and sit down after 15 minutes. So you get an A+. Oh, so you get an A+. Welcome. Thank you for being here today for this special congregational meeting called by the Board of Trustees. I'd like to thank you for your interest in showing up and supporting this democratic process within our church governance. And to get us started, we need to establish a quorum, and we have 5 proxies, and we have counts from the people who are currently here. If you could please hold up your pink slips so we could establish that.
Let's start one section at a time so everyone doesn't have their hand up. Far left and far right. And then we'll let you know you can put your hands down. This section, put your hands down. Thank you so much. This section, please hands up. Thank you.
Ooh. And we'll let Lito and, Mike, yes. How many people do we have online? Great. And then Lito and Mark, if you can total and let us know what the final count is. Oh, and 3 back here. Oh, and me too. And what's the number?
You had 62? I had 50.
So our secretary can have it for her minutes.
So we actually have 109.
Very impressive. Thank you. And now I will ask our Vice President, Mark Rockymore, to say opening words, and do you also light the chalice?
Good afternoon, everyone. Today has been a day that exemplifies what this congregation is all about. A weekly pop-up pantry where we received and we gave out a lot of food and still have a cabinet full that needs to be distributed to anyone in need. So we are blessed to have things to give and folks who need to receive them. The children's choir didn't need anything but us, and we adults sung a song of thanksgiving and gratitude. We shared the plate with the American Indians in Texas and the Spanish colonial missions, and we're here now to consider a motion to approve the adoption of a congregational resolution on solidarity with Palestinians that has been proposed by members of the Social Justice Committee and the San Antonio chapter of UUs for Justice in the Middle East. In a world of increasing, In a world of increasing political complexity, we are all called upon to be considerate of our personal stances and alignment as we live lives of what seems sometimes to be equal complexity, right? We should be honored to share this space and time and consideration of such deep meaning for people who have undergone so much trauma and pain over such a long period of time. So we light this chalice with all of our souls longing. The flame of our faith calls on us to act with passion in the face of injustice. Today, this light burns in sorrow for the people of Palestine and all who suffer in the region. It's a beacon of hope for the marginalized, a message of sanctuary for the oppressed, and a prayer that freedom, reason, and justice will one day prevail across the earth for all people. May its light empower our hearts until we are all free.
Thank you, Mark. I have asked Paul Homburg, stand up, Paul, a past board member and current member of the Leadership Development Committee. I've also asked Amelia Westney, who is one of two core members of our new Healthy Relations Committee, to serve as a process observer during discussions. The UUA has started to include this role in their General Assembly meetings, and we did something similar during our adoption of the 8th principle discussions a couple of years ago. And basically, the process observer is assigned and asked to monitor the discussions to make sure they remain respectful, and that we follow the democratic process in letting people speak freely, their conscience, and not to face debate or debates among each other during the meeting. We will be asking people just to state their own opinion without trying to comment on other people's opinions. And again, so everyone can be respected and feel free to state their beliefs. So I'm going to ask Kathleen Fonseca, our treasurer, to introduce the motion.
The Social Justice Committee and the San Antonio chapter of UUs for Justice in the Middle East
have proposed a congregational resolution on solidarity with the Palestinians. A copy of the resolution has been distributed to the general congregation and all eligible voting members. Because of its length, we're not planning to read the resolution. We have a few hard copies available for those who are not able to pull it up electronically.
Yeah, raise it up high and do the copy.
I would like to move that the congregation approve the proposed resolution on solidarity with Palestinians.
State your name.
Thank you.
Do I have a second? Terry Palin.
Carol was the second.
Oh, who was the first then?
Me?
Oh, no, there's a first and a second.
I did. That's fine. We're good.
Oh, okay.
All right. You're welcome. That's it for me, right?
Yes, thank you.
People, the congregation who's here today is invited to make comments or ask questions. We have previously held 2 town halls to give individuals that opportunity. But if there are still members present, either in person or online, have comments or would like to ask a question regarding the motion, you're welcome to do so. Jim, Noel, and Lito Buhanda-Moore can be circulating with microphones, and Mike Brand can be reading any comments or questions online. Is there anyone who has any comments or questions about the motion? Closer to your mouth.
Can't get any, there we are. Okay. This is kind of close to me because I spent 3 years working in Amman, Jordan, among the Arab world. And there seems to be just a disconnect between Americans and the Arab world. And I'm trying to just want to make the point, they're just like us. In fact, I never ran into a friendlier bunch than they had over there in the Kingdom of Jordan. And we were frequently over into the West Bank, occupied West Bank, which is supposed to be Palestine. And I'm sure everyone wants to be fair and do what's best for everyone. And I just like to make that little point that, you know, if you've got a thing against Arabs, and many people do, they're like us, and in many cases friendlier.
Thank you. My name's Dave Boyer, member. It seems to me that over the last several years, in all the debates, arguments, and discussion we've seen on TV and in the congregation here at these different meetings, we've kind of talked ourselves into a conundrum. It seems like we cannot distinguish between religious concepts or identities and the political world. And for those who are in favor of this resolution and those who feel uncomfortable with it because of the effect it may have on our Jewish brothers and sisters. I'd like to just have them think for a moment that this is really not a religious problem or really an ethnic problem. It's a nationalism problem. Nationalism is a political entity, is the state of Israel, just like the United States, are political entities. And we know every day when you turn on TV and see what our country's doing, in the Caribbean and the Pacific, you know what kind of violence national political groups are capable of. Maybe that'll give us a little perspective to be a little more objective of what is really going on here. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Gerard, a member of the Unitarian Universalist for Justice in the Middle East. I think the resolution means quite a bit to me based on my experience. You know, I was born in Texas, I've lived in the United States, and I've lived specifically in Texas my whole life. And I've always been vaguely aware of the Israel-Palestine conflict, and I've known a little bit more about it than the average person. But, and over time I've regretted not, given my knowledge about it, not being more vocal for most of my life. You know, I sort of treated it as a background news item. But one thing that I always knew was that this country is not always an inviting place for Palestinians. That a Palestinian simply telling their story, which is that, you know, their grandparents were dispossessed forcibly out of their homes, that they live under occupation, and the details of that occupation, that simply stating that story is sometimes considered offensive or makes people uncomfortable. And I think it's just so important that as a congregation or in any institution, that it's made explicit that we really are inclusive of everyone, and that includes Palestinians, and they have a right to share their story and their trauma the same as anyone else. And I think this resolution makes that explicit without making it a zero-sum game with anyone else's trauma. And that's why it means something to me. Thank you.
I'm Marcia Meredith, and I also, like Jack, lived in the Middle East for 4 years. I was in Yemen, and my experience there was wonderful. The people were wonderful. And it breaks my heart of all of the violence and the shooting and the bombing that's going on over there and destroying religious heritage. And anyway, what is being done to the Palestinians is just unacceptable. They have a right to live and to decide their own fate, and they don't have that opportunity right now. It's just a terrible situation. And it's not about religion, it's about national.
About this identity in San Antonio. Even though Beth Am still continues to meet in our church and has for some 20 years, and this is a religious place, if we are taking a non-religious stance on something, how can we stop here? Now, suppose that we are considered anti-Semitic for doing this. I mean, we have a University of Texas here. What's the governor going to say to them next week? We don't know. I am not anti-Semitic. I am not anti-Palestinian. I am just plain old you. I'm afraid of the Christian nationalists in San Antonio. If anybody in this congregation is employed by someone who is a member of Cornerstone Church, you will be in danger. I think we can write letters and do individual actions, but to take a stand as a UU church for this is beyond me. I just don't see it that way, I guess. Crystal Knott was 88 years ago or something. I was 11 months old. During my whole early childhood, it was the destruction of Jewish people in Germany. And I know that is influencing me. But I thought I was in neutral territory in this room. So I've had my say.
I'm Jan Riolini, a member of the Social Justice Committee, and I'd like to thank the UUJME chapter here in San Antonio for bringing this to us. I, as a person who also has been very much affected by the Holocaust and anti-Semitism, I feel that it's important that in this resolution it explains how taking this position is not anti-Semitism. Taking a position against the, questioning the decisions of a government of Israel is not the same as anti-Semitism. And that's what I think is important to include in this, and it's in there carefully worded. So again, I want to thank the group that brought this forward. We're seeing something that has just been horrible, that Gaza has been so destroyed and so many people have died and children have died. Thank you.
Hello, I am Colin Houston. I'm a new member here a few months ago. I'm also on the UU Social Justice Committee. Now I haven't been here for very long, but one thing I can say is that every single week I've been here, what I've heard is the phrase at the start of our creed every week: love is the doctrine of this church, the quest of truth is its sacrament. Now, as far as I interpret that, I feel that being in a city here, San Antonio, which is officially designated a friendship city with Tel Aviv in Israel, and being here in San Antonio, being a instrumental part of the military-industrial complex that the United States has built up, and given the fact that the United States is fully bankrolling what Israel is doing right now, and given the fact that the actions that Israel has taken in Gaza have been reprehensible on a scale not yet seen, not yet that I haven't seen in my lifetime, And I'm someone who has had a lifelong interest in politics and political science and in the affairs of nations. And having been studying it all this time, I haven't seen anything like what has been happening in Gaza in my entire, all of modern history. And I feel it is extremely important for us as a congregation to take a stand on this issue and to adopt this resolution. I think that the unique discrimination that Muslims face here in the United States must be addressed, considering that we are a congregation that claims to represent all religious communities, not just any one. I feel very, very strongly about this issue. I think we need to adopt this resolution.
I'll be quick, Rebecca, Rocky Moore, excuse me. I hope everyone can vote their heart and not their fear. That's all.
Hi, Becky Brenner. I'm on the Board of Trustees and an active member in the Social Justice Committee and Retired Women. The only thing left to say, and I'm just so appreciative of everybody that's spoken and said so many good points, is that this statement is not a mandate of support for Hamas. That's not up to us. That this country and the media would lead us to believe that as a colonial power that we have the right to tell other people who their leaders should be. I oppose that. This is not our role. That is the role of the Palestinian people themselves. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Catherine Purrs. I'm really grateful today to be able to be part of a community that is even discussing this. I think maybe we should have a growing awareness of the fact that we don't all have the same rights to free speech. I work for an unnamed university, and we were told last week that there are very strict limits on what we can say, not only inside the classroom, but outside the classroom, based on ethnicity as well as other things. So for me to speak out as a lone voice would potentially mean that I couldn't support myself anymore. So I'm really grateful to be here where we can contemplate this together and potentially stand together.
Mike, are there any comments online or questions? Oh, okay. There being no more questions or comments for discussion, we will close the topic, and all voting for this motion, which is the only official item of business for today's meeting, will be conducted electronically. And I'm going to ask our secretary, Sherry Philibon, to go over the voting instructions.
I'm going to read them to you from the screen here. Link to electronic ballot in Breeze will be distributed to all eligible voting members 1 hour after this meeting ends. More or less. The same link may be used twice by household members that share the same email address. Everyone is asked to enter their name so membership can be validated. Ballot must be submitted before 12 o'clock midnight tonight, this evening. Don't forget to hit submit button at end of the ballot. You will receive a confirmation message.
Thank you. And we do have some brief board announcements as well as a listening session. Everyone is welcome to stay or leave as your interest indicates. But this has been an exciting year for the board. 7 months ago, the board announced a goal of transitioning from our current policy style model of governance to strategic governance. Policy governance, for those who are not familiar with it, originated in the corporate world and was adopted in the 90s and so on by many larger nonprofits. And also became the shiny new thing pushed by the UA after the first decade or so of after the turn of the century. How policy governance has been interpreted and practiced over the years at our church has varied according to what minister was in place and who was on the board. And over the years has also confusion about that, disagreements about that has contributed to conflict. Earlier this year, the board learned that First UU was not alone in its struggles with policy governance, and that typically only the largest congregations in the UUA were successful at doing this, usually congregations of 1,000 people or more who had sufficient staffing and resources. And many mid-sized congregations, with the blessing and assistance of the UUA, have over the past few years transitioned to what is known as a strategic form of governance. So the difference, it's a little bit nebulous, but in its purest form, policy governance boards are supposed to focus only on policy. But after reviewing our current bylaws and governance policies with the leads at the UUA Southern region, they indicated that First UU actually had been using more of a hybrid model of both some features of policy governance, some features of strategic governance, and in particular in the areas of finance and facilities. And that strategic governance would be a good fit for First UU. So the board is working towards that. With strategic governance, it is expected that our new settled minister would retain, as has been the case for many years, functioning as the chief of staff or head of staff, and who would manage the more traditional programmatic aspects of a church that most people think of: worship, education, pastoral care, etc. But that most strategic churches that have a strategic governance would also have a clearly defined joint leadership team composed of both staff and lay leaders who would share authority and collaborative decision-making that would provide greater flexibility and allow it to be more responsive as important issues came up, more pressing but mid-level issues that maybe the whole board doesn't necessarily have to vote on. And this would relieve the larger board to spend more time on what has been identified as 5 top strategic tasks, which would be, yes, they'd still have to deal with policies, developing policies, and making sure they're followed, but also more proactive assessment and monitoring of the congregation's health, more active discernment over how well First UU is achieving its mission and our vision, Also, fiduciary oversight and responsibility, as well as something that we have not done in years, strategic and long-range planning. The last time our church undertook strategic long-range planning was before the pandemic, and we have lost sight of that in recent years. So again, we've been provided a bunch of written materials from the UUA. We also have a plan to reach out to the First UU's past presidents who are still active with the church, asking for their input on past governance concerns and their feedback on our tentative plans. And although our progress has initially been slow due to unexpected issues that always seem to pop up, we think the momentum will be picking up over the next few months. I hope in December to have an article about strategic governance with a few more details in an upcoming Inspire magazine, so watch for that. And I'm also hoping to hold a town hall in January, again, to give a little bit more, some more details about strategic governance and some of the plans we will have by then for people to ask more questions and give feedback. So I hope you will look out for those and join us. So, also had an update about the final cost for our renovation of the Building 2. 1 year ago, at a meeting like this, the congregation voted to proceed with the renovation of Building 2, which houses the fellowship hall, the lounge, and our kitchen. The demolition began in March, and the work was substantially completed in September. There are a few corrections that remain on the punch list, and all of these should be completed by late November or early December. Last week, we learned that the total construction cost is expected to be reduced by $176,000 due to a cost savings reduction, and thanks to the way the construction contract was put together on the advice of our architect. So money that the construction company or the contractors, the subcontractors didn't use, that gets returned to us, or we are not billed for that. So there are final bills that we will receive from 3 sources, including the final bill from the construction company, the final 1 or 2 bills that we might still receive from some of the consulting engineers, and a final bill from our architect, whose expenses were a little bit more than we anticipated, but for me, it was worth it because of his efforts in containing costs with the construction company. So currently, First UU has, I think, over $39,000 in our capital campaign reserve. We anticipate receiving approximately $72,000 in additional capital campaign commitments that members have previously pledged to pay, and that they will hopefully complete by early January. So if all of these come in, and those final bills we're expecting are estimated to be less than $100,000, we will have a beautiful, debt-free community space, and we will be able to return all $40,026 that was withdrawn from the trust fund. So thanks to all of you. And there will be more details about that with the numbers involved in an upcoming What's Happening. And now for the last update, I'd actually like to introduce Ruth Bahanda Moore, who's going to talk a little bit about the latest from the Ministerial Search Committee, and who will also introduce a video.
Thank you for that, Polly. Hello, I'm Ruth Bahanda Moore, and I'm on the Ministerial Search Committee, and I have a fun update. So, first of all, thanks to everyone who participated in the Breaking Barriers, Building Beliefs that we held in late October. It was a fabulous workshop with Reverend Eric Kamenetsky, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and then he gave a lovely sermon the next day. But thank you for all that, because it's information that will be helpful. Also in October, we held over 30, maybe, cottage meetings, focus groups in people's homes. Thank you for those who hosted, as well as at the church and on Zoom. We heard a lot of things, and it was really, really wonderful to meet with you all. I think our ears were buzzing with all the information, so we greatly appreciated everybody who participated. Your input is extremely valuable. And we are now moving on to our next phase, because we're busy little worker bees, and we are working on the congregational record and preparing to post our minister position later this year and also into 2026. We are encouraged and energized by your continued participation, so thank you. Also, the website is being currently updated thanks to the coordinating council and all the various committee chairs. We've asked for everybody to update their positions or what's on the website, anything that needs to be tweaked or changed or completely revised. And thank you so much to Mary Wright, our congregational administrator, who is helping us with all of that. And now, for your viewing pleasure, we have a lovely video that, if you could just ignore the very last part, because it talks about completing the congregational survey by November 3rd, which in fact has passed. So barring that tiny bit, please enjoy the following video.
Hello friends! Throughout October, our UU community has really shown up. From cottage meetings and the B4 session to the surveys you filled out. You've shared so much honesty, heart, and hope. We know that we've asked a lot of you, and we just want to say how grateful we are. Y'all truly deserve all of the flowers for the time, care, and energy you've given. Many of you filled out the congregational and B4 surveys, came to the B4 workshop, or joined a cottage meeting. And whether you did everything or just one, every bit of your input helps. Now, if you haven't had a chance to fill out the congregational survey, and you have a few minutes, please take some time to do it before November 3rd. It really helps us complete the picture of who we are. So you may be wondering, what's next? We'll take everything y'all have shared, your insights, survey responses, and pieces of our history, and use it to create our congregational profile. That profile will introduce potential ministers to who we are, what we value, and the kind of shared ministry we're excited to build together. We'll keep y'all updated as the search process unfolds, and thank you again for contributing to this important step on our journey to settled ministry. You've helped shape the story of who we are and where we're going. And if you still need the survey link, you can find it at tinyurl.com/UUsurvey25. That's tinyurl.com/UUsurvey25.
Thank you, Ruth. And now, for the last part of the meeting, we were going to use this time for a listening session, and that is just an opportunity for members who are interested to ask questions or state any issues of interest to the board members. And if you do have a question or would like to say anything to the board, please raise your hand. And again, Paul and Jim Leto and Jim will come around with a microphone. And our secretary, Sherry, is going to moderate the listening session.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
Hello, there it is.
I want to congratulate all the congregants on the recent capital campaign as we come out debt-free, because when we built the building that we're sitting in right now, I was president of the congregation when we did the capital campaign for this building, and we did not come out debt-free. In fact, we didn't become debt-free on this building until a couple of years ago, when two congregants, when a family generously paid off the final bill on this congregation. So I think we should all give ourselves a round of applause for our present building. Thank you.
So thank you very much. Looks like, feel free to talk to any of us one-on-one, and thank you for staying the length.
Thank you all for your interest, and the meeting is officially adjourned at 12:59. Thank you. And thank you for everyone who helped.